material, I'm material, I'm material girl.
Hello, my name is Alex. Welcome back to my channel. Wow, it has been a minute since I last uploaded. I believe it has been like 4 months. I did the Euphoria inspired outfit lookbook. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. A lot has happened since I last uploaded. For starters, I graduated college. I don't know, I've just been kind of figuring out what I'm gonna do next, what's in store for me. So today I just wanted to make a video about how I take a lot of my Instagram photos. So a lot of my photos on my Instagram are actually taken by me. I don't have a photographer. I don't have friends or family take them most of the time, just because I feel like I can control the photos a lot more, and rather than inconveniencing somebody else to take photos of my outfit that day or not having them look exactly the way I want to, it's just easier if I can control things and do them myself. So what I do a lot of the time is I like to style outfits, I like to do my hair and makeup, I like to create a creative direction for a lot of my photos. So I wanted to just share a couple of the things that I do to take my Instagram photos. So here are a bunch of examples of photos on my page right now that I have taken by myself, and I will share exactly how I did that. My first bit of advice would be to get a tripod. So this is the tripod that I use to take all of my Instagram photos. I ordered this one on Amazon a couple years ago. Basically, it just has this little area up here at the top where you can insert your phone. It's adjustable, so you can adjust the height. You can set it up certain angles. It's just really awesome that you can just kind of control everything with using this, and it's really convenient and easy to take around. I travel with this a lot. I just keep it in my suitcase. I don't know if this exact one is still on Amazon, but I will link one below. These cost like 20 bucks at most. Yes, you can just use a timer and prop it up on something like a dresser or the floor, or if you're out on like a little post or something, but this just makes it a million times easier. This is kind of the only way that you can really do it. The second piece of advice that I have would be to go out and look for locations, drive around. It becomes really fun for me when I get to just get in my car, put on some music, drive around, look for somewhere to take photos. This photo is actually an abandoned building near my house where I like to go take pictures. They look very industrious, they're very plain, they're very simple. Hardly anyone is ever really around other than the cars that drive by. So I would recommend to go somewhere that's safe, go somewhere that you know your surroundings, you know where people could unexpectedly be. Don't go anywhere that looks sketchy or that people can be hiding somewhere. Really just be careful if you do this alone. It can be really intimidating to take pictures by yourself, which leads to my next tip, which is to gather inspiration before you go so that this experience is quick, it's seamless, you can just take the photos and get out because you already kind of know what you want to take pictures of. So for me, depending on kind of the outfits that I choose or the kind of vibe that I want, so for me it's like a whole process. I love to style outfits, I love to do hair and makeup, I like to kind of have a creative direction before I go out somewhere and take pictures. So definitely something that I love to do before I take pictures is I like to look on Instagram or Pinterest or Tumblr or something like that for photo inspiration of maybe angles that I really like on certain people, vibes that I like, kind of attitudes, looks. It's just really fun to just find inspiration, and then it also makes things easier, which again, this comes in handy because if you want a certain angle, you can position it height-wise how you want. So for pictures where I have them lower to the ground and I want like an up angle, you can set the tripod up that way, or if you want an angle that's coming down towards you or something, just set the tripod up accordingly. But that is kind of the biggest thing, is to know kind of how you want the photos to look beforehand, because especially if you're alone, you kind of just want to get the photos done and just get in and get out and just be done with it. Knowing the kind of photos that you want to take beforehand and having an idea. If you are alone, I would suggest maybe sitting in your car and looking at the area, whether it's a wall or some type of building, kind of knowing where you think you want to position yourself, you and also your tripod beforehand before you get out of the car. And then another thing too would just be to have maybe a couple different angles in mind in case something isn't really working out. I know a lot of times I'll have an idea of how I want the photos to go in my head, but then once I actually take them, they don't look as good, or you know, maybe the lighting is off a certain way, or just maybe things could be off. So I would just suggest having a couple different inspiration ideas in mind before you go out, and then you could try a bunch of different ones in case something doesn't work out. And for somebody like me who has been taking photos like this for a couple years now, it definitely does take a while to play around with the angles, play around with the spacing between you and the tripod. It takes a while to really like get the angles that work for you. You're gonna have a lot of experimenting, especially at first if you don't really have experience using a tripod. So one example that I could share with you that I use inspiration from were these photos that I just took in New York. I wanted to do some photos that were in the hotel room, and I kind of wanted some inspiration, so I was just going on Instagram. I found this picture of an Instagram model where she was next to a mirror, and I was like, oh, I kind of like that. Let me recreate that in my hotel room. Well, I propped up my phone on the tripod near the mirror. I had that kind of low angle so the camera was going upwards, and then I played around with the poses a little bit, tried to do ones that she did in the mirror, you know, with like her arms up, kind of like her leg up. I just kind of tried to recreate those myself, and then I took some other ones in the room. And then my next bit of advice, something that I do instead of taking them in the normal photo setting, I scroll over to the square settings so that I can see if my photo that I'm gonna eventually have would fit into the square. So if I go over there and stand where I'm gonna be taking the photo and my whole body or whatever I'm trying to photograph doesn't fit into the square, then I will have to reposition the tripod. Now the thing that I really like to do is that I actually like to put it on selfie mode. So I can set up the tripod and put it on the selfie mode and kind of watch myself take the photos, so I can like position myself according to how I want the photo to look. I do think that's really helpful. Like this photo was taken on the front camera because I really wanted it to be that particular angle, and also this one was taken on the front camera. However, I do notice that the photo is a lot less good of quality than it is on the back camera, so just keep that in mind, that sometimes the photos aren't to the best resolution just because it's the front camera. Yeah, those are kind of all my pieces of advice for taking photos by yourself. I love doing little mini photo shoots in my house. I love setting up backgrounds, kind of styling outfits. It's just a good exercise in creativity for me, and especially in the career that I want to go into, which is styling and costume and wardrobe designing for films, things like that. So it's meant to be fun. It's meant to just be an exercise in creativity. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I would love to hear if these tips worked for you, if you decide to try them. Please subscribe, please stay. I'm gonna try and start uploading a little bit more consistently now that school's over. I can just use this as another platform to be creative and kind of share some things that I like to do with styling. I loved doing the Euphoria lookbook, so I think I'm going to do a lot more of those with styling outfits. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.